The Japanese samurai disappeared in 1868. This was because Japan ended its isolationism and began to adopt Western values. Education was replaced from Eastern philosophy to Western learning. Anatomy and medicine were introduced, kimonos became Western clothing, swords were banned, and hair was untied. But the values, worldview, and humanity of the samurai are the ideal and truth that the Japanese people have continued to pursue. Even after 1868, the Japanese tried to maintain the samurai spirit in their hearts. 1894, War with China and victory. 1905, Russia, the most powerful country in the world, was defeated by Japan. It was thanks to Bushido that we were able to win 2 major wars. However, in 1945, Japan lost the World War against the United States and Britain, and the Japanese people were forced to completely abandon any traces of Bushido that remained in their hearts. Summer 1945. After witnessing the concentrated bombing of Tokyo by the United States and the 2 atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan felt the fear that the Japanese people would be wiped out and accepted the end of the war. At that time, the New York Times published a cartoon with the headline, "The monster has been defeated. All that remains is to remove its fangs," and a soldier standing next to a fallen monster with a pickaxe in his hand. When the American leaders learned that Toyama Mitsuru had already passed away in 1944, they regretted not being able to see the look of regret on Toyama's face. Japan was then placed under the occupation of GHQ General Headquarters of the Supreme Commander for the Allied Powers, and was subjected to a plan to weaken the country. And the fang that was pulled out at that time was the value of loyalty and filial piety. Toyama Mitsuru wrote that loyalty and filial piety is the fang of Japan, but that Western countries find it an eyesore and will definitely try to pull it out. Loyalty and filial piety was the fang of the Japanese spirit. The Japanese have changed greatly over the past 80 years, losing many of their virtues and coming to believe that the only condition for happiness is to become wealthy. Even when they become adults, their personalities remain those of about a 5-year-old. They are kind but weak. They are academically gifted but lack depth in their humanity. They are only interested in vulgar topics. They only think about the easy way to live. They are dependent on others. They prioritized their own happiness over the happiness of others, but the samurai's values were the opposite. Young women had no concept of chastity. Men were weak and even hesitated to marry. They betrayed people for money. They could no longer understand the value that humans live to train their hearts. And they no longer believed in God. The Japanese people lost their humanity and became mere lumps of flesh. By the way, I am a follower of Toyama Mitsuru, who was called the last samurai of Japan. Toyama Mitsuru was a strong voice in correcting the mistakes in the values, worldview, and humanity of the Japanese people after 1868, when Japan began to westernize. In modern Japan, many people are frightened by the name Toyama Mitsuru. The reason is that after Japan lost the war, his name was erased from history under the American occupation policy, and instead he was recorded as a mafia boss. Toyama Mitsuru's family is still strict to this day. But his kindness is deeper than the ocean, and his strength of heart cannot be cut with a sword. Now, this year I turned 60. My master, the third generation Toyama, is 87 years old. and he has no successor. I decided to make videos in the hope of expressing Bushido, which still lies deep in the hearts of Japanese people, in a modern way, spreading it to the world, and contributing to world peace by helping many people realize that the truth of the earth and humanity is encompassed in the worldview of Bushido. This video will be translated into languages all over the world and spread all over the world. If you are interested, please contact me. Bushido is not barbaric. It is the study of the relationship between humans and the universe. I look forward to meeting you.